Last week's Reality Check took a closer look at Republican presidential candidate Herman Cain's 999 plan. Tonight, we're talking about another issue, and we're taking a look at Ron Paul's newly released federal budget. How much does Paul want to cut? Ben has the Reality Check.
The plan is radical, but according to Paul, he could balance the budget by 2015. But talk about cuts. Here's what's being proposed. Ron Paul is proposing eliminating the departments of Energy, HUD, Commerce, Interior, and Education. He also wants to abolish the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, and returning responsibility for security to private property owners. Now, Paul's plan would also rein in spending, both domestically and abroad. To do that, the plan calls for abolishing corporate subsidies, stopping foreign aid, and returning most other spending levels to 2006 levels. In addition, Paul has said that he wants to cut 15% from military spending. But he says don't get that confused with cutting national defense.
I don't cut anything from defense. I cut military. There's a big difference. Defending this country is one thing.
So explain the difference.
Militarism is buying weapons to subsidize the military-industrial complex to build weapons that we don't need. I mean, why do we need 7,000 drones dropping bombs on any speck of the earth in order to defend this country?
So what about domestic spending? Well, Paul says he would keep Social Security in place right now, but for younger Americans,
but I do deal with Social Security because I let the young people opt out, and that's a big deal.
Another big deal, cutting the pay of lawmakers. This plan would reduce the federal workforce by 10%. It would slash congressional pay and perks and curb what he calls excessive federal travel. And to put his money where his mouth is, Ron Paul says he would not take the $400,000 salary, $100,000 in non-taxable travel expenses, and the $50,000 expense account that the office of the president currently takes. Instead, President Paul would take a salary of $39,336 a year. It's approximately equal to the median personal income of the American worker. So here's what you need to know. Regardless of how you feel about Representative Paul's plan, this is the only plan so far that actually proposes balancing the budget in just a few years with actual cuts, not using fuzzy math with cuts in defense spending that wasn't really going to be spent. The bottom line, regardless of whether Ron Paul was able to get the Republican nomination or not, he may be able to force politicians to deal with real numbers, real problems, and real deficits. And that is Reality Check.
You can make your voice heard on Ron Paul's budget plan on Ben's Facebook page. Just search Ben Swann, WXIX.